I'm Pastor George Borkart, and this is another Higher Things video short. With July 4th tomorrow, can a Christian serve in the military? That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. Hey, if you love our videos, if you've been learning about your Christian faith, learning more and more about God's love for you in Christ, go ahead and hit like and subscribe today. You can also go to support.higherthings.org and give today. Your tax-deductible gift keeps Higher Things, a youth organization about passing on the faith to the next generation, keeps us going. Higher Things is having a youth conference, a camp in Chicago, Illinois, at Concordia University, Chicago. My kind of town, Chicago is. Hey, I'm there in Chicago right now, and through the magic of the internet and some advanced planning, I'm also in Bossier City doing this video for you today. The question comes from Andrew in Southern Illinois, and his question is, can a Christian serve in the military? Can a Christian be a sniper in the military? And I think this is about American sniper, you know. The key text here is Romans 13. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who will resist will incur judgment. For the rulers are not terror to the good conduct, but to the bad. Whoever has no fear of the one who would you have no fear of the one who is in authority, then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. So important. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he's the minister, the servant of God, an avenger that carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be subject, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. Because of this, you pay taxes, for the authorities are servants of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed them, taxes to those who are owned, revenue to what is owned, respect to who is owned, and honor to who is owned. All right, so the sword. Those folks, and I'm in America, so I'm going to speak as an American. Those who serve in the armed forces serve as God's sword to curtail evil and to execute his judgment. They are, as you learned in catechism, the first use of the law, the curb. Through the curb, God and God's law in the world sort of contains sin and sort of keeps sin from going all over the place. This is why people aren't running around America shooting people normally, because of the police and the authorities of the government, who are servants of God, even if they don't even believe in God, because no authority exists in the world apart from God. And so those in the military, thank God for you. As I celebrate my freedom tomorrow, freedom to even do this video, uncensored. You can't do this video in every country. And I'm sure this video is blocked in some countries that are anti-Christian. But in our country, we have the freedom to do videos like this because of those who serve in the armed forces, who beat back evil and protect our freedoms. And so the question is, can a Christian serve in the armed forces? Yes. One of the best quotes came from an elder in in my first parish where I served as an associate, and he was in the SWAT team, and he said, a pastor, and he was a preacher's kid. He was a Lutheran pastor's kid. He said, Pastor, I serve as the first use of the law. I'm the sword of God. I beat back evildoers for the safety of everyone. And that's really what our military does. And so can a Christian serve in the military? Yes. Yes, he can. Well, what if he has to kill? Well, if he kills, the government has that sword. The government has the ability to execute God's judgment upon the earth. And the scriptures are full of this, God using even pagan governments to execute his judgment. And so no authority exists apart from God. And this is why, although there is commandments against murder, the government itself is the sword of God to pull back on evil. And Paul says, be subject to them. And when Paul says be subject to the government that he is talking about is pagan. In fact, he's in chains to the very government that he's telling us to be submit to, and to pay our taxes, and to pay our revenue, and to show respect to and honor. So those who serve in the armed forces are God's sword. They execute the judgment of God. This is probably also off the subject, but why capital punishment is actually not anti-Christian, because God set up the government to execute judgment upon evildoers. Now, is it perfect in this world? No. Do governments err? Yes. And when a government errs, who do we have to follow? We follow God, not men. That is a different question, which doesn't pertain to Andrew's question, which is, hey, can I be a Christian and serve? Can like the American Sniper stuff? Is that, or are we capable of being a Christian and serving in the armed forces? Answer is yes, you can. And it's an honorable and noble thing, because what you're doing is being the actual sword of God, the judgment of God on evil doers. And it's a different debate on whether or not, a just war and all that, but a soldier. And also a word on this, a gospel word. People in the military experience things which are sometimes horrific. And they're asked to institute judgment and perform judgments on people, and they don't like it. And the comfort for them is in the forgiveness of sins. I can tell you that what you're doing isn't a sin, and that you're executing the judgment of God, and I thank God for what you do. But if your conscience is tweaked by what you've done, know that Christ died for you, and the forgiveness is for you. It's for you too, especially for you, because what you've done, executing the judgment of God so that we can live free, is a gift. Without the work of you in our armed forces, our world would not be safe. And so God has you to protect people like me who can't protect themselves. Thank you for that. But if in that course you have to do and see stuff that's awful, know that the same forgiveness that I'm allowed to preach because of your work counts for you too. Andrew, thanks for your question. See you in Chicago, buddy. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.